McMahon Stadium in Calgary for Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter in part 2 of our doubleheader just underway. The BC Lions and the West leading Calgary Stampeders, guys.
I'd like to welcome viewers of the Ticats and Blue Bombers opening drive here at McMahon. The Lions have the football and are driving into Calgary territory down inside the 30-yard line. A first down run as Kevin Glenn has deployed Andrew Harris, Stefan Logan, and a pass to Sean Gore to start things off. And it's a good-looking first drive for BC.
It really is. The Lions elected to take the ball when they won the coin toss and had a real good first offensive drive going here.
Just inside the 30, Glenn to throw, and Harris with it again. Jawan Simpson will toss him out. And it's 5 more. Our starters to watch brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, where custom advice comes standard.
Well, Andrew Harris had the big fourth quarter against Calgary earlier in the season when these two teams met. Manuel Arsenal #2 in the CFL and receiving behind Darius Bowman for Edmonton. Sean Gore's made 8 catches in the last couple of games. I think Sean Gore is going to be more involved in the offense as this continues to evolve here for the BC Lions in the back half of the season, or the final stretch of the season, I should say.
Only one first possession touchdown all year. Even week 1. 2nd and 5. Glenn out of the pocket has a man open. Caught by Burnham down inside the 5-yard line. Brian Burnham, who had an impressive debut last week with 5 catches for 90 yards, has his first grab for 23.
Great movement by Kevin Glenn here to extend the play. He's going to drop back. Doesn't like what he sees initially. He's got Rolly Lombard in the backfield for a little protection help. He doesn't have to pick up any blitz, so he knows he's got some time. He finds a throwing lane by getting himself outside. And, hey, I was real impressed with Brian Burnham in his first game, 90 yards last week in his debut off the practice roster.
Lions first and goal with John Beck at the controls. Beck off the left side, and he's in for the touchdown.
What a start for the BC Lions on the road. That's a 9-play drive. 76 yards to start this football game. Off the left side of the offensive line where they've made a couple of changes. Jamarcus Hardrick has moved to left guard and Andre Ramsey at left tackle.
Big story coming in that the BC Lions would deploy 3 international offensive linemen, and that was impressive. McCallum adds the extra point, so for the first time since week 1, the Lions open with a first possession major score. John Beck is in for BC. Of the year.
Real good drive. A little bit of everything in that drive for the BC Lions. Nice play calling. They started out with a couple quick throws from Kevin Glenn. Get the passing game going, and then established Andrew Harris in that first drive as well.
Callum kicks it off. Jock Sanders is back in the Stampeder lineup on the return. Up over the 30, 35-yard line. The newcomer Bo Lacombo in his second game has the special team tackle.
High percentage passes, but that's good play calling. Kevin Glenn went 5 for 5. Got Andrew Harris involved out of the backfield. They alternated with he and Stefan Logan, and Glenn orchestrates a 9-play, 76-yard drive to open this game after winning the coin toss and electing to take the ball.
So let's see how Calgary responds with Drew Tate and John Cornish, the ball carrier. And Cornish falls forward to the 39 and as close to 5.
Well, John Cornish back in the lineup, missed last week versus Montreal. Now, Drew Tate didn't have a great game last week in his first start in a long time. Been 27 games since Drew Tate's last start. Only completed 50% of his passes, struggled a little bit, but Cornish will help. And with Marquay McDaniel out of the game due to injury, they're going to have to lean on Nick Lewis. He's got to have his best game of the year.
Drew Tate 4-0 at home. They'll hand it right back to Cornish, and he'll be close to the first down. You know, I'm not suggesting Solomon Elimimian was looking past Toronto last week, but when we talked to him the day before the game, he was already referencing John Cornish and how he was looking forward to this matchup tonight.
Yeah, day before Toronto, he gave us a little inside info that he was looking forward to going head-to-head with the best in the league. And John Cornish is the best running back in the Canadian Football League. He's averaging 7.8 yards per carry, back in the lineup and healthy, and Solomon Elimimian can't wait.
So Cornish that short of a first down. Did not play in Montreal. Undisclosed injury. And a maintenance week for him after 3 consecutive 100-yard games, including a brilliant 174-yard performance against the Toronto Argonauts in their last home game. So third and about the length of a football for Calgary. Wyatt Moniz in the short yardage situation, and not much there. That's the newcomer Rob Lohr, who came over the top, lost his helmet. 25-year-old out of Vanderbilt, who draws in with an illness to Khalif Mitchell that has him a scratch tonight.
Yeah, he was going to start the game. Mike Benavides told me he would play in the first couple of snaps, and then they'd go to more to Jabbar Westerman inside with Eric Taylor. And it's going to be key for the Lions if they can contain John Cornish.
Forward progress is enough for a fresh set of downs, and Drew Tate checks back in. Keep feeding it to Cornish. Good first down production here up to the 52 before he is driven back. Elimimian and Big Hill on the scene.
So if the Lions defensively want to contain and try and control John Cornish, they're going to need that triangle inside. Jabbar Westerman, Eric Taylor, maybe a little Rob Lohr in there as well as he rotates with Westerman, and then Solomon Elimimian in the middle, who scrapes, gets to the football better than any linebacker in the league. That's the key to stopping the run.
Stampeders come out determined to establish the ground game, and now second down, and the throw for Maurice Price is incomplete. Covered on the play by TJ Lee, who gets the start in place of the injured Dante Marsh.
Yeah, what they do is they move Ronnie Yell into the boundary side corner and put TJ Lee on the wide side corner. He's going one-on-one with Maurice Price, and good timing to pull that right arm down as the ball arrives.
So a third down, and Rob Maver comes on to kick. Stefan Logan and Marco Iannuzzi are back for BC. Kicking into the breeze in this first quarter. It'll be Logan from the 16, and he gets drilled. Big hit there. Josh Bell downfield in a hurry. Former BC Lion. Check that, Linjay Shell with the hit. Tim St. Pierre there as well.
Concentrate on one and give them the ball over 13 times. The average for their team goes up in rushing, and so does the yards per carry. Either one of these backs get it less than 13, those numbers drop significantly. So Kahar Jones got to ride one of these backs. I know they're rotating them right now. And running backs love the top end, the last 8 carries.
Looks like Harris has been the primary receiver, Logan a runner, and Emmanuel Arsenault is the receiver with a catch up at the 46 and a first down.
You know when you talk to running backs, Chris, and they'll tell you it's the 13th carry to the 21st that they really can do some damage, because that's when the defense is worn down. That's when you can find that crease and make those big gains. In the fourth quarter, 101 yards for Andrew Harris. Talk to Benavides about it. He understands it as well, and you're going to see a lot of it.
First down, and the screen gets tipped at the line. Keon Raymond was blitzing and got a hand on the football. It's the first incompletion of the night for Kevin Glenn.
Benavides said to me, he said, yeah, we're going to start to feature one of our backs at a time. You're not going to see that twin set much with both of them in the backfield, especially tonight.
So 2nd and 10. Pressure coming. The throw is intercepted. Brian Burnham hadn't looked back. And when he did, Brandon Smith had the football in his hands. First interception of the year for Smith. And Calgary gets the football back.
Brian Burnham's trying to get out of his curl route here, and when he gets to his break, Brandon Smith is going to jam him and distract him just a split second long enough that he can't get out of his break in time. And when he can't get out of that break, Smith is in better position on the football than Brian Burnham.
Brandon Smith, the 7-year vet, his first interception, the second thrown by Kevin Glenn in the last 5 games.
Also 3rd in the league in tackles. Active player for Brandon Smith. We're going to take a look at this.
See if
after review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Interception. First down.
We didn't get an announcement from the officials on a challenge from Mike Benavides, but clearly he did to see if it was pass interference. But there was a little bit of a tug from Brandon Smith, a little bit of a push from Brian Burnham. They're not going to call that.
Stampeders set up. Their 54 direct snap. John Cornish trying to get outside, and he gets upended as Elamimian makes the play.
Well, John Cornish starts this game 177 yards behind the rushing leader in Brandon Whitaker. And it's 162 after the start of this football game into the first quarter here. I don't think there's many that don't think he can track him down.
Also came into the game 197 yards away from the top 25 all-time CFL history. As Willard Reeves in his sights takes this pass, and he'll be game tackled and tossed back.
You can tell by the amount of BC Lions on that gang tackle that number 9 is the focus of their attention tonight. You think that they're aware of where John Cornish is on the field. He's going to catch this swing pass, and let's just count how many BC Lions fly to the football as soon as he gets the ball in his hands. I mean, here they come. Now 9 has it. Stop it right here for a second, guys, if you can. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and an 8th coming in there. They're going to rally around John Cornish.
Maver kicks it away again, Logan. And Logan gets tossed down after a 43-yard boot by Maver. We have a flag on the play. Tackle made by one of the newcomers for Calgary, Frank Beltre. Got down in a hurry.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 27. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Jeff Heck gets the call. There's bully by Mitchell. Back on the roster is the number 3 quarterback, Jermaine Franklin. Will have an update on his status when we come back. Encouraging to see Mitchell back on the sidelines in uniform with an update on his status. Here's Jermaine.
Chris, Bo Levi Mitchell is missing his second straight start thanks to a knee injury and ankle injury he suffered a couple of weeks ago on a scramble. However, Bo Levi Mitchell did practice throughout the week with a knee brace. He told me that his knee and his ankle feel great with the throws. The strength is there, and if he absolutely had to play, he could. Now, John Hufnagel has nothing but praise for Bo Levi Mitchell's work ethic. He says when he arrives early in the morning, Mitchell is there literally 2 minutes after to receive treatment on his leg as well as study film. I guess when you're injured, that does not mean you get a vacation.
Getting a different view, but doesn't sound like it'll be long.
Well, 10-1 as a starter. The best touchdown interception ratio in the CFL. Yeah, they want him back as soon as he can.
Harris lines up in the backfield, play action fake, Glenn on a roll, downfield. Look for Burnham, and he got stretched out and leveled by Fred Bennett. And Burnham quickly to the sidelines.
Well, sometimes you're forced to throw this ball, and if you see the hit coming as the quarterback, you got to get it down low so the receiver can catch it, protect himself. And when that ball sails a little bit on Kevin Glenn, it exposes Brian Burnham, and he takes a big one there.
Already one less import receiver for BC. Here's Harris out of the backfield, taken down immediately, snuffed out by Jawan Simpson. And a quick 2-and-out for the BC Lions on offense.
Jawan Simpson does a nice job of disguising that he's got Andrew Harris out of the backfield. Look how he's looking in this direction, trying to say, yeah, no, I'm going to come over here. And then he goes from there right into coverage immediately to Harris, tracks him down. It's his man in the flat and makes a great tackle.
Ricky Schmidt's first punt. And it sails to Jock Sanders across the 40. And Sanders is dropped by Jamal Johnson. So Solomon Elimimian back out on defense. His sight set on John Cornish.
Cornish is a guy that can make a lot of things happen. You know, a couple weeks ago, just watching them against Toronto, it's like single-handedly, he brought that team back. And he's a great runner, and he hits the hole, very hard. And if you don't account for him, it's going to be a long day for defense.
Adam Bighill tripping up Cornish this time. Downhill football played on both sides of the ball tonight with 56 and number 9.
Well, Solomon Elimimian comes in with 98 tackles on the season. It's a record pace. Should beat J.C. Sherritt if he continues with this pace. Set the record at 130 in 2012. 4 games in double figures for Elimimian.
Excuse me, Suits. They've already credited him with 3 tackles tonight, so he's into triple figures. Here's Cornish, bounce back, and dropped at the 45-yard line. So nothing on second down, and the Lions answer with a 2-and-out.
Well,
on defense.
They're focused in on John Cornish, and you can see how quickly Solomon Elimimian is scraping to beat the block downfield from an offensive lineman, get away from that block, and get right to the hole. You also saw Adam Bighill get in there. I mean, clearly defensive coordinator Mark Washington said, we got to stop Cornish. And that is the key for every team playing the Calgary Stampeders when number 9's in the lineup.
So Maver, Logan, and boy, the downfield cover has been terrific. Charbonneau Campo with the tackle on special teams. Got some playoff intensity here.
Well, I think both teams playing at great pace here. That first drive by Kevin Glenn, outstanding 9-play, 76-yard drive, ends in a touchdown. Good jump in their step, and since then, the Calgary defense has responded a little bit. Remember, this is a defense without Charleston Hughes, their best defensive player in the lineup. He's out due to injury.
Just had a look at Quinn Smith at defensive tackle, a rebuilt defensive line with injuries to Hughes and DeMonte Bolden, as well as Corey Mace. Micah Johnson. The list is a long one.
Yeah, it is. It's an all-star list, too. And that means that the Stampeders are going to have to lean on this guy. That's Sean Lemon out of Akron. He's a guy with 6 sacks on the season and was a nice bookend and compliment to Charleston Hughes. Now he's going to have to step up and take even more of a leadership role in that defense and provide the pressure on Kevin Glenn tonight.
Number 1 defense in points allowed, but they've given up points the last 2 weeks. Glenn over the middle. Arsenault, a big first down catch. Ball popped loose at the end of the play. Looks like he gets back on it, and it is a catch up at the 42-yard line. That's the final play of the opening quarter. It started with a BC Lion touchdown drive, and that's the difference so far. They may have to review that last catch by Arsenault when we come back. Still taking a look at that final play of the opening quarter. Arsenault with the catch. Does he take enough steps here? Ball knocked out by Brandon Smith. Arsenault does recover, and now the challenge flag has just been thrown by John Huffnagel.
You got to try and determine here if sort of that football act of moving from the ball from his hands under his arm is enough in that sort of step and a half to constitute possession of the football for Arsenault, and then it would be a forced fumble here that he recovers when he gets on the ground. Or is it incomplete and he didn't have control? This is going to be a close one.
Tough because that catch was made and that first step was with possession. Did he make a second step before Brandon Smith got his hand on the ball to force it loose?
Yeah, he kind of hit his elbow, and that's how it popped out. But I wonder about that act of catching it and moving it to under his arm. Is that enough to constitute possession of the football? You don't have to tuck it under your arm to have possession, but you see how he puts it under his arm, and then as soon as he gets it there, the contact is made on the elbow. John Huffnagel took the whole break there to take a look before he threw the challenge, and then finally did.
I mean, it seemed like he made the catch but didn't lock it away, and it was forced out of there, and the officials will have to interpret whether he had possession long enough, whether it's a forced fumble or an incomplete pass.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
So they consider it a catch, a fumble, and Arsenault does well to get back on the football.
You know, and I think that one was close enough. It could have gone really either way. I mean, I guess the act of the catch and the movement to put it under his arm, that was enough for them to say he had possession of the ball.
19 on the play, and now they'll give it to Arsenault on the sweep. Cut it back inside, up to the 45-yard line. Just 3 for Arsenault on that carry. Big stat in the opening quarter for the Lions. They were 6 for 8 converting on second down.
Well, Kevin Glenn has been the best quarterback in the league at those second down conversion throws. I mean, that's one of his strong points this year. 77 of them coming into this game.
2nd and 7 here, a tough conversion. Stands and throws, and Gore unable to make the catch. Some heat from Kevin Glenn, and an incompletion will force the Lions to kick it away.
Well, Kevin Glenn's got pressure, so he's got to get this out of there quickly, and he's got to throw it hard to Sean Gore, who's got to make this catch. I mean, this is the Canadian receivers for the BC Lions have been struggling a little bit this year, and this is the type of play they got to start to make if the Lions want to continue to progress.
Ricky Schmidt bunting into the wind for the first time. Sanders has it. And downfield in a hurry, Jamal Johnson with the special team tackle, 44-yard punt. John Cornish, his sights set on regaining the rushing lead. Goes back on offense when we return.
Illegal block. Calgary.
And then the Stampeders will play the Rough Riders at Mosaic. Live coverage gets underway 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, right here on TSN. Calgary's run 9 plays in this game. 7 have gone to John Cornish. Tate looking that way again. Cornish not available. Now he finds him. And it's 8 of 10 and another tackle for Solomon Elamimian. There is a flag down on the play.
A flag in the backfield where Drew Tate rolled out, and I think he got pushed at the end of this throw. Flag was right beside where
Major
Drew Tate
foul,
went down.
roughing the passer. BC number 23. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So Josh Johnson flagged for roughing the passer. 7th time the Lions have been charged with that infraction this year.
I've sat in the Rules Committee meetings, and Drew Tate on this full roll. You watch how Josh Johnson coming in here is going to give him that push. In the Rules Committee meetings, all the coaches and GMs talk about that being a very dangerous play for quarterbacks.
Tate, quarterback option. And he runs it up to the 40.
Now, Drew Tate didn't have his best game. It's been a long time since he started. That was last week versus Montreal. He was just 50%, 152, threw an interception, not a touchdown. But this is a guy who's 4-0 career starter here at McMahon Stadium. Guy who played real well against the BC Lions. One of the best games of his career. In fact, the only game in his young career, because this is just his 10th start, where he's thrown for 3 touchdowns in one game. That was against the Lions last year in a win.
First game of the year. Dave Dickinson, the offensive coordinator, said he took the loss hard last week. Here's Cornish on 2nd and 4 and gets stacked up. Able to push the pile enough for a first down, but Dave Dickinson said no, he didn't have his best game, but neither did a lot of people around him.
Yeah, I mean, it was a team loss. They all talked about that, and they all took their share of the responsibility. But he didn't have John Cornish in the lineup either, and that's, you see the focus that the Lions have defensively on Cornish. Whether he's getting big gains or not just yet doesn't matter. I mean, he's going to take the attention away, and that'll give Drew Tate some more time in the passing game.
First down for Cornish. And now Tate to throw. And the pass over the middle is caught by Anthony Parker. Tough catch for the Okotoks product, Anthony Parker.
Oh, he fought it a little bit, and this is a big catch because it's low and away. He's in such good coverage. Ryan Phillips is right on his shoulder as he cuts across the middle here, and the ball's thrown low away from him, and he battles it but comes up with it. Anthony Parker had the fumble late in the game earlier this year that stopped the Calgary Stampeder comeback bid.
Only Stamp receiver who has played in all 12 games back into the hands of Cornish. And he got tripped up as like he got upended by Rob Cote, the fullback blocking for him, got pushed into the running back.
Alex Bazzi making a name for himself, the Marshall product, with 9 sacks. He's got 8 tackles for losses as well, and he's going to blow up this play and make it difficult as Cody comes from the right side of the formation, tries to block him up, but that's how you create a pile. If you can't make the tackle, you're coming off that edge block. Create a pile, make the running back bounce off that pile, and your teammate should rally, and that's what the Lions did there.
Third down, the short yardage team comes on, led by Bryant Moniz. Already has successfully sneaked for a first down once, although didn't need much and didn't get much. John Hufnagel has had a lot of injuries along that offensive line, still without Dan Faderkyle, but Brander Craighead is back. The rookie is at right guard tonight. And Moniz will plunge behind Brett Jones and should have the first down.
Now we're talking outstanding offensive lines. A lot of people will talk about Saskatchewan's O-line and a couple of around the league, and maybe this is the underrated O-line in the CFL, allowing just 15 sacks at this point in the season. That leads all teams. And there is Brander Craighead back at at right guard. Now, this offensive line with John Cornish in the 3 previous games before missing that Montreal game, all over 100 yards and only allowing 15 sacks, fewest in the league. Maybe Calgary has the best O-line in the league. Run!
It's a direct snap. And the ball pops loose. Elimimian's got it. Moniz drops it, and Solomon Elimimian comes up with it. So they leave Moniz in the game. He runs for 11, but then puts it on the ground. And Solomon Elimimian has his second fumble recovery of the season. Second takeaway for the BC Lions on the night. Watch all new episodes of The Big Bang Theory Monday at 7:30, 10 Central on CTV.
Brian Moniz takes this run, and if he's touched and tripped up, he's down by contact when he lands. I don't think he is. He kind of falls on his own, puts his left hand down, and then takes another half step. So this is a fumble covered by the BC Lions, just basically tripped over that 50-yard line.
Turf Monster gets him, and then the linebacker Elimimian scoops it up. So the play still being reviewed, as all turnovers are, just to make sure, because if
Ruling on the field stands, the fumble.
somebody clipped the ankle of Moniz even 5 yards back, it would have been down by contact. But in this case, the ground can make you fumble.
That's right.
So the Lions take over at their own 46-yard line. And Logan, he bounced back and then reroutes. Gets back to the line of scrimmage and a couple more. Logan's best game this year, the 19-carry, 145-yard game against Toronto. Just 4 carries, 23 in his last game against Calgary.
Yeah, that was back to that graphic it showed you right off the top, that when one of these two backs gets the ball 13 to 20 times, they're well over 100 yards. It's only happened 4 times this year, 3 by Andrew Harris and 1 by Stephon Logan, that Toronto game.
There's Glenn throwing, and the pass caught. Manny Arsenault has another grab. Had 9 catches last week. Only 3 the last time he faced the Stamps. He has 3 already tonight.
Now, eventually, he's going to need some help from the other receivers in this core, but for now, Manny Arsenault is the #1 target for Kevin Glenn, who looks sharp tonight. Accuracy is bang on for Glenn.
And off, and Andrew Harris grabbed there by Keon Raymond in the backfield to stop Harris. Raymond playing in his 99th CFL game tonight.
You know, Kevin Glenn is a guy who maybe threw a few too many interceptions early in the BC Lions season, but he's doing a lot of good things. And that second down conversion we talked about, he leads all quarterbacks in that category. Second in 30-plus pass plays to Drew Willie, who just has 17. And Kevin Glenn has done some good things.
Loss of 1 for Harris, 2nd and 11. 5 receiver set. Gets it out of his hands quickly, but the pass was behind Iannuzzi, and it's incomplete.
That was a tough one for Marco Iannuzzi. Last 3 games, Marco Iannuzzi has been the target for Kevin Glenn maybe 3-4 times a game, and has only been able to come up with 1 catch. This is what I'm talking about when I say the supporting cast in the receiving core for the BC Lions. That was a tough one. That was behind him.
Only 2 multi-catch games all year for the Calgary area product. Schmidt punts it away. Sanders at his 12, the flag down, and a good return up across the 25. That was the 15-yard no yards, but a good return by Jock Sanders, and the Stamps challenging him to win the field position battle for the Stampeders tonight.
Well, it started out looking like it was going to be this offensive explosion. The first drive for the Lions goes down for a major.
No yards. BC number 45. 15-yard penalty. First down.
So it is a 15-yard penalty against Jason Araki. John Cornish and the offense go back to work when we return. I'd like to welcome viewers who are watching Winnipeg Jet preseason action. We're at McMahon. It's 7-0 Lions. Solomon Elimimian has 5 more tackles and a fumble recovery tonight, with more on number 56. Here again, Jermaine Franklin.
Chris, Solomon Elimimian is challenging for the CFL single-season tackle record held by J.C. Sherritt. I asked him if he thought about it at all, and he said only when people like me ask him about it. Now, Elimimian said it doesn't work as a motivation for him coming into games, but Mike Benavides had an interesting perspective. He said it's because he's part of a defense that's so good. He doesn't have a lot of plays to make those tackles, and it just shows how elite a player Elimimian really is.
Offside. Calgary number 85. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Joe West offside. Elimimian now with 103 tackles on the year. And he is 12 away from the team record held by Baron Simpson.
And that says something about a defense that's not on the field as much as other defenses, and yet he's still over 100.
Oh, look out! Maurice Price busted coverage. And Price down around the 30, a little stutter step, and finally brought down at the 27, and a flag at the end of the play. But Drew Tate hooking up with Mo Price for a 61-yard play. Second biggest connection between these two this year.
Illegal participation. BC number 26. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Fort Parks ran out of bounds, came back in. That was illegal participation, but here's Maurice Price. Nothing fancy from the route. He just goes straight down the rail here, and it is a blown coverage as the Lions drop into a 3-deep zone, and Court Parks gets drawn right into the middle and out of his deep third on the field. Price gets in behind him on the busted coverage.
First, Price had the 102-yarder earlier this year. Tate back to pass. Going into the end zone. Incomplete. Trying to hook up with Joe West.
Let me show you the 3-deep zone coverage I'm talking about on that deep play from Drew Tate to Maurice Price. And Court Parks has got the deep outside third. He's the halfback here. Now, he's supposed to get here with the safety in the middle and another third player. Watch what he does. He gets stuck into the middle and doesn't stay wide enough or deep enough. Go ahead and run the replay, guys, and here he goes. You see, hold it there. He gets pulled into the middle, and no one deep on the outside third.
Stampeders have been so good in the red zone, and Tate skips a pass short of Jock Sanders, and this time they do not convert.
Well, they've been unbelievable. I mean, 82%. The closest team to them is Toronto at 70, and that seems like everyone else is real close, but it's not. It's just Toronto and Calgary at the top of the red zone list. 82% for Calgary, which is incredible. 70% for Toronto. The rest of the league is down around 50 or below.
But they will have to settle for a field goal attempt here. Rene Paredes puts it up and through, and the Stampeders hit the score sheet with 6:20 left in this opening half. 7-3 BC.
Good recognition by Drew Tate, though, and he's coming off a tough game in his first start in a long, long time. That's important for Tate to get that confidence. They don't finish the drive. Unusual for this team offensively, as we mentioned. But for Drew Tate, that's a big drive. That's an important drive for him. He recognized the bust in the coverage. He saw his open receiver, and he put it on him. And there's some here in Calgary wondering about that arm and whether or not it's fully healed. Well, it looked pretty good on that long throw to Maurice Price.
Lions up to take the football at the 35. And here's Kevin Glenn tossing it back for Harris. And overthrows the intended target. Juwan Simpson in pretty good position defensively.
It looks to me like defensively, Calgary is going to have Juwan Simpson just mark Andrew Harris. We've seen him now. Wherever Harris goes, 12 goes. Rich Stugler, defensive coordinator, may just want Juwan Simpson to just block up on number 33 and try and be in his face wherever he is. Now, how you can beat that, what the counter move is for the BC Lion offense, go play action. Get Simpson sucked into the line of scrimmage and put a receiver right in behind him.
2nd and 10, and they have 4 receivers to the wide side of the field. Over the middle, pass caught by Iannuzzi. He's going to be short of the first down.
This is what I'm talking about. Watch Juwan Simpson. This is a counter move for the BC Lions. Here's Juwan Simpson right in the middle here, and he's going to move to his right because that's where Andrew Harris is. Harris goes off that side of the formation. There goes Juwan Simpson right over here. Put the receiver where that middle linebacker is just vacated.
Jack Sanders fields it just inside the 30. Got something over the 45. And cuts back and will be dropped at the 52-yard line by Big Hill. But
I'm going to watch this. This is a cool matchup. We're seeing linebacker against running back, both sides of the ball here. Juwan Simpson, an all-star. Watch how he tracks Andrew Harris. He is locked in on Harris. Then he realizes there's an open receiver. Now, the Lions don't convert a first down here, but they're going to come back to try and pull the middle linebacker out of there and try to go after the middle of the field in the passing game. And then we're watching the other side, of course, Solomon Elimimian against John Cornish.
Shouldn't be surprised that we'd have a defensive battle. Cornish stayed upright and into BC territory down to the 49, and he has 9.
Well, here they go. Here we go, folks. Solomon Elimimian coming right over here. John Cornish saying, okay, let's go. Best on best. And this time Cornish gets him. It's the best tackler in the CFL, over 100 already, folks, and Cornish makes a miss. Breaks it and gets another 4-5 out of it.
Cornish with 38 on the night. 9 carries for number 9. Moniz back in, 2nd and 1. And straight ahead for the first down.
Let's see if Drew Tate can take some of that momentum and confidence from that deep throw to Maurice Price. People say, well, come on now, that's an easy one because it was a busted coverage, but a quarterback in his 10th start, coming off a tough start last week, he needs those throws. He needs those completions. See if he can build on and put some points on the board here.
Leading team in terms of yards generated against the stingiest defense. Yards allowed. Cornish again. And just inside the 45. So 3 for Cornish on that carry.
Solomon Elimimian's going to need some help with John Cornish, with Eric Taylor and Jabbar Westerman. If those 2 defensive tackles right here do their jobs and get penetration, then Solomon Elimimian can scrape to the football. When Saskatchewan played Hamilton, we talked about that triangle. Similar situation here tonight.
And no Khalif Mitchell. A 2nd down throw is incomplete. Intended for Mo Price. Tate took a hit. Ryan Phillips was there defensively for BC. Let's see what happened to Tate on the incompletion as he takes a hit from Kareem Smith. We'll also have some words on that 16-11 win by the Ticats in Winnipeg tonight. Rennie Paredes sizing up what would be his longest field goal of the year from 51-47 is his longest, and it gets blocked. And will bounce down around the 5-yard line, scooped up there by Logan. To the outside, and he'll step out at the 17. Boy, suddenly field goals have been tough to get over the line of scrimmage in the last week or two, and big number 79 gets a paw on the football.
He just drove right up the middle. I mean, it's hard to stop that truck, and Eric Taylor at 309 pounds, and he just drives up the middle, throws his right arm up there, and gets a piece of it.
Second block kick by the Lions this year. Cream Smith had a block punt. And now the handoff straight ahead. And Andrew Harris with a surge to the 23 gets 6. Another one of those kind of barometers for the BC Lions. When they have 20 carries or more, they are 7-0. When they have fewer than that, they're 0-5. They have 11 carries in the first half. Of course, you don't just keep handing the ball off unless you're having success. 2nd and 5. There's Harris out of the backfield. And he will be dropped at the 26. Looks like he'll be a yard short of the first down.
And got a good spot for the BC Lions point of view, because he's about a yard. And does Mike Benavides decide, I don't think so at this point in the game, to send the punt team in a hurry here?
Thought you were in a gambling mood early tonight, but yeah, that'd be a big gamble, 3rd and a full yard this deep in your own territory. Jock Sanders awaits at the Calgary 35.
Late guy coming in, Adam Bighill.
Maybe he wanted to go for it. Goes on, and they'll get a contact, the kicker. Keenan McDougal with a little push on Ricky Schmidt that's going to get the call. And the officials might be a little more sensitive about this after a non-call last week at Mosaic.
Keenan McDougal is going to hurdle Adam Bighill.
Contacting the kicker, Calgary number 24. 10-yard penalty, first down.
He's got a direct run, and it's almost not his fault here. I mean, when he goes up and over Adam Bighill, his momentum carries him into Ricky Schmidt. Well, you know, on second thought, it looks like he could have redirected once he put his foot down there and not giving him that shot.
So the Lions back on offense, and a big hole for Andrew Harris. Cuts to the outside, across midfield, and run out by Quincy Butler, but a 23-yard scamper for Andrew Harris. So he's up to 49 yards in the game and over 600 on the season. Came into this game 5th in rushing.
And I think you just ride this horse right here. Think about what he did against Calgary in their first meeting this year. 100 yards of offense in the fourth quarter.
Could be a costly penalty against McDougal. Down to the 49-yard line.
I said to Mike Benavides, said, you know, when you split the reps down the middle, both guys are kind of average. When you let one go, he takes off. He says, we're in the last third of the season, Glenn, and you know what? We are going to start riding one guy more than the other. It depends who's tired and who's not, who's a little fatigued and who's not. But they're going to try and get the ball more to those backs.
2nd and 7. Harris will line up as a receiver. Kevin Glenn steps up. He'll take off and lunge down to the 44-yard line, but he'll be a couple of yards short. 5 for Glenn, and now are they close enough with a little breeze in the face of Paul McCallum? Will he try the lengthy field goal?
You know, the games are becoming that much more important as these teams try and take a run at home field playoff position here. Last 5 games, Kevin Glenn has run the ball just twice. All of a sudden, he's taking off and trying to get it closer to See if they're going to try a field goal attempt, but it doesn't look like it. No.
Not from 51 yards out. So Schmidt on to punt. Fielded by Sanders. And he'll bring it back to the 12-yard line. Another special teams tackle for Jason Araki after a 43-yard punt.
Talked about John Cornish going after Brandon Whitaker for the rushing title. If he can get there, if he wins the rushing title this year, it'll be the 3rd straight year, and it'll mean only 4 players in the league's history have done it 3 straight years. George Reed, Mike Pringle in Montreal 4 times, 4 straight years there. John Cornish got some work to do.
10 carries, 41 yards tonight. Needs to average 69 yards per game to hit 1,000 once again. And, no surprise that they give it to Cornish here up to the 17-yard line. Kareem Smith holding on, and you can hear the contact every time Cornish gets the football.
Well, it's a team meeting. There's a team meeting, and they just say number 9 is the location of that team meeting, and we'll just.
There's a newcomer to that D line, Rob Lohr, and Elamimian at the heart of the defense. Fewest touchdowns allowed, fewest yards allowed, best pass defense in the league. Cornish on the run again, and nearly busted it. Solomon Elamimian drags him down, but Cornish has a first down and time for one more play.
Decent push, though, from the interior of the defensive tackles, Rob Lohr being one of them, and it made Cornish turn his shoulders to the sideline. Slowed his momentum.
And they'll take a knee and head to the locker rooms. The Lions scored on the opening drive of the game, a 9-play, 76-yard touchdown march. And they will head to the locker rooms with a 7-3 lead after 30 minutes. Paul Police, Chuck Clivey, take it away. 7-3 as we head to the second half at McMahon. But first, here's John Cornish with Jermaine Franklin.
John, offense just limited to 3 points in that first half. What is the key to getting back on track?
No, I mean, everybody said it, and we know it. BC has a great defense. And, you know, we struggled a little bit, but, you know, this is a mark of a good team is overcoming obstacles. And I think BC right now is a massive obstacle.
Now, your opinion may be biased, but how important is it for this offense to remain with the running game?
Oh, well, I mean, we aren't down by anything, right? So I'm not too worried about getting away from the running game.
Thanks for this.
There's the John Cornish interview. This was just before the Solomon Elamimian interview. Elamimian was down there just before half, and Fred Bennett was walking off to the locker room, and they got into a trash-talking episode right there on the field. You're going to hear one side of it, but Solomon Elamimian going back and forth with Fred Bennett.
What'd you say? Hey, who are you? What'd you say? Hey, get some. Get some. Get some. Keep running hitches on your side. Just tackle. Just tackle. We don't know who you are. Keep walking. Keep walking. We don't know who you are. What's up?
It's playoff time, baby. It's playoff time. At least it feels like it.
We know who Fred Bennett is.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Sanders a little trouble with the handle, and he gets upended. Across midfield by Ronnie Yell, and Solomon Elamimian checks back in for duty here in the second half.
Now, Fred Bennett was just outside of our microphone range, so we didn't hear what he was saying back to Solomon Elamimian, but we did hear what Solomon Elamimian was saying. Oh, yeah. These two teams going at it.
Gotta love. Calgary going to start with a throw and into the flat, complete to Maurice Price. In the first half, 68% of Calgary's plays were running plays. During the regular season, 42% are running plays. So a lot more run, but they start by the pass here.
Yeah, quick game. You know, try and get Drew Tate into a bit of a rhythm out of the gate in the second half. I'm sure Dave Dickinson wants to get him.
Price with the biggest play of the first half for Calgary, that 60-yard catch. Set up a field goal. 2nd and 5. Pocket collapsing, they'll stretch it out. Joe West, and he can't reach it in behind coverage. And Tate misses him by a stride.
It almost looked like either Joe West looked over his inside shoulder first and then had to kind of wrap around to find the ball. You see the low angle of the corner route here. You're going to see it at the end of it, just overthrown by Drew Tate, but Joe West had looked over his right shoulder first. Tate can't believe he missed him.
Faber punt, and it's Logan. Flag comes down as Logan steps out around the 39, and it was a 39-yard punt by Rob Maver. Lions have the wind in the third quarter.
Illegal block. BC number 20. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Penalty against Keenan Parker will march them back. BC Lion football, they have the lead when we come back to McMahon. Andrew Harris, 11 touches, 80 yards so far tonight.
Yeah, 46 rushing. They got him going in the passing game in that very first drive for Major. He had 34 yards through the air, so 80 yards in the first half for Andrew Harris. Remember, last time these two teams played, he had 143, 100 of which were in the second or in the fourth quarter.
And they'll hand it off to Harris to start this second half, and a good surge up to the 38-yard line. 9 for Harris on his first carry. The third quarter's been an issue for BC. Just 30 points all year long and 5 points in their last 5 games in the third quarter.
What we haven't seen Kevin Glenn go to here just yet tonight is the deep ball. And that's been a Manny Arsenal throw so far this year. Arsenal with 7 plays over 30 yards. Andrew Harris is the guy they start with.
Back to Harris, a little stutter step as he is caught in the backfield. May have got back to the line of scrimmage. Jawan Simpson there, but it's going to be third down, and both teams trade 2 and outs to start this third quarter.
Yeah, and Mike Benavides is not hesitating to put his punt team out. He didn't even get a look at that or a measurement. I think he's real happy with the way his defense has been playing. Jawan Simpson's been going head-to-head with Andrew Harris tonight. When the Lions have the ball, he's going to step in and limit the game.
Sanders at his 25. And decent return up to the 37-yard line. 47-yard punt, 12 on the return. Calgary goes back to work, trying to get their offense on track in the second half. Defensive battle tonight. Top 2 defenses in the league. On a defensively themed week in the Canadian Football League. John Cornish going to change that here. Big game off the left side. Finally bumped out by the safety, J.R. LaRose. But Cornish takes it down to the 36. It's a 40-yard gallop.
We've watched this matchup, Solomon El-Mimian on John Cornish, and Solomon El-Mimian is going to shoot the gap on a stunt. That allows Cornish to get outside. Now Solomon El-Mimian is not scraping any longer to get to Cornish. Now he can just follow the block outside of Spencer Wilson, and he breaks it down the sideline.
Up to 95 yards rushing. Cornish lines up as a wideout. Adam Bighill is there defensively. Tate in trouble, and he is dropped. Big Eric Taylor lowers the boom.
I think Drew Tate wanted to go to Cornish, who was that wide out, and ended up being covered by Adam Bighill. That was the matchup that Drew Tate wanted, and Bighill was tracking Cornish pretty well. The pocket's going to collapse on Drew Tate, but he looks out there to Cornish's side. He wants to get it deep to him, and Eric Taylor closes the door on the throw. There's Cornish down at the bottom. Bighill's covering him. That's a matchup I think Calgary would like to go after. But watch how Bighill's going to run with the running back, stay in his hip pocket to the left of your screen, and Drew Tate has to hold the ball.
Got an injured BC line. I was just watching that alignment and thought the Lions may have got away with Alex Bazzi lining up offside. What do you think?
It does look like if you start from your tackle in Eric Taylor, he's well behind that hash mark. Looks like Bazzi may be in that neutral zone. Bit of an angle.
Unless Taylor and Lohr were about 1.5 yards.
Right. Which could have been. It was tough to tell from that angle.
Boy, it's easy to referee from this level.
Well, they have one right along the line, and he didn't think it was an issue. So
J.R. LaRose helped to the sidelines. They'll have to make an adjustment in the secondary. On 2nd and 13. Looks like Torrey Williams moves to safety. Tate with a pump, and he's going to test it downfield. Pace! Boy, he had some closing speed and just couldn't reach the football.
Torrey Williams gets caught just kind of watching here and doesn't get in his back pedal, and it gets in trouble. There's the new safety. J.R. LaRose is out due to injury, and Price is going to run this post in behind him, and he just kind of gets lazy, doesn't backpedal hard to get any depth, just kind of hanging, looking at Drew Tate, and all of a sudden his receiver is well behind him, and Tate just misses him.
Paredes from 45. And he has missed it. And a tough year for Rennie Paredes. Logan brings it out, doesn't get very far, up to the 7-yard line. So a miss from 45.
You think back how close it has been for Drew Tate in this Calgary offense. There's Maurice Price, the wide receiver to the wide side of the field. Now he's going to run the post and gets in behind coverage with a safety, Torrey Williams, in his first play back there, getting caught flat-footed. Think back to the Joe West throw that Drew Tate missed by about 1/2 yard.
And off to Harris, straight ahead. Jawan Simpson is there. Talked a lot about Solomon Elimimian, but the other middle linebacker has reported for duty tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah, his challenge is 33, or Stephon Logan, depending if they're rotating Logan into the backfield for BC. But right now it's Andrew Harris. He's been marking them all night long.
Jawan Simpson, the top defensive player in the West back in 2010. 7-year vet. Second down, quick hitter, Gore can't make the catch. Keon Raymond there, another 7-year vet.
Now Keon Raymond, when the games become bigger, he just steps up and makes plays. Opportunistic football player. It's not just, big plays every single game, but it's those important moments. The moments that can turn a game. It seems like Keon Raymond is around the football. Remember last time these two teams played, Raymond took an interception to the house.
So the Stamps anticipating good field position. Schmidt to kick into the wind. And he won't kick. He'll concede 2. We never mentioned that maybe Logan should have conceded 1.
Yeah.
And so it's 7-5 BC in this defensive battle. 7 more tackles tonight for number 56.
105 on the season. He's 10 away from the Lions record set by Barron Simpson back in 2001. Run! Closing in on J.C. Sherritt's mark. He's got a fumble recovery tonight. And the only time that Cornish really broke free was when he was on a stunt.
Kicking off after the safety. Sanders with a little hop skip and is bounced out just beyond the 40. Well, he said before the game that the team that's the most physical will win this matchup. And there's not much between these two teams right now.
Barron Simpson's mark in 2001. Last time these two teams played earlier this year, he had 10. One of 4 games in double figures. I'll be surprised if Mark Washington, the defensive coordinator, stunts him too much more. I think they got to leave him back there to scrape to number 9.
Play fake to Cornish. Tate on a roll. And he has Anthony Parker a catch. Ryan Phillips there defensively. But Parker has his second catch of the game.
Good looking throw here from Drew Tate. You know, gets on the roll. He's going to get Parker on this deeper out. And Tate gets on the roll in rhythm, gets that lead shoulder pointed downhill, and he puts it right out in front of Anthony Parker.
Haven't heard from Nick Lewis tonight. First down. Pass in the flat, and away goes West. Joe West got away, and it's back-to-back first down throws for Drew Tate.
Now, Ronnie Yell had a pick 6 as well when these two teams played earlier in the year, and it looked like he might have tried to jump this a little early and got caught in between. The play action didn't quite work as well as they'd like, but didn't matter. Joe West with a 25-yard gain. And Ronnie Yell slides over to that short side corner for Dante Marsh.
Good pursuit by Big Hill to make sure more damage wasn't done. First down. Tate on a roll. And he'll get bounced out at about the line of scrimmage. Adam Big Hill with the contact. Came into the game 5th in tackles.
Well, Drew Tate was well inbounds. I mean, way inbounds when Adam Big Hill makes contact here. Pretty athletic move just to get over the advertising boards there on the sideline.
Might be a sack for Adam Big Hill as they mark it maybe just inches behind the line of scrimmage. If it is, it's the 3rd of the year. And we'll call it 2nd and 10 and a bit. A pump and now underneath. There's Nick Lewis and dragged down. A sure tackle by Josh Johnson to make sure Nick Lewis doesn't get away.
You know, just one catch. Just one catch for Nick Lewis last week against Montreal. You know, his big game this year was 7 for 54 against Toronto. That was a couple weeks ago. But with Marquay McDaniel out of the lineup, he's got to step up. I mean, they need this 11,000-plus receiver. Dave Dickinson needs a possession guy. Nick Lewis can be that. We need Nick Lewis to become a bigger part of the offense here.
There's Paredes. And this one is up and through. Had one blocked, missed one. But Rennie Paredes good from 36 out. And the Stamps had their first lead of the night. Impressive defensive effort by Calgary tonight. Without Charleston Hughes, Freddie Bishop is at that defensive end spot, replacing the All-Star Hughes. And with more on Bishop, here's Jermaine Franklin.
That's right, Chris. You know, with Charleston Hughes out with a foot injury, Freddie Bishop has some big shoes to fill at the defensive end position. I was able to talk to him briefly before the game about it, and he said that he can't worry about trying to do what Charleston Hughes does. He has to continue to be just himself and take full advantage of the opportunity that he has. Unfortunately for the Stamps defensive line as a whole in the last couple of games, they've had trouble putting pressure on the quarterback. Chris?
Plug and play in Calgary, but they'd love to have Hughes in the lineup. A foot injury has him sidelined.
Corey Mace out, Michael Johnson out, Demonte Bolden.
Long list. Big to Harris, Kevin Glenn. Pass incomplete. While Drew Tate has started to find some different targets, Kevin Glenn has been unable to go beyond Emmanuel Arsenault in the pass game.
Well, he's tried a couple in Sean Gore's direction, a couple of drops. One drop by Marco Iannuzzi would have been a tough catch. So there's 3 drops when it comes to the passing game for Kevin Glenn.
And I don't think Brian Burnham's returned since taking a huge hit in the first half. So as you've mentioned, one of those Canadian receivers going to have to step up. 2nd and 10. Little shovel. And Sean Lemon, Jawan Simpson there. And Andrew Harris did well just to hold on to the football.
That's what I'm talking about, Sean Lemon, that the Calgary Stampeders and Jermaine was talking about looking for who was going to get pressure on the quarterback. And Jawan Simpson's part of the solution here, along with Sean Lemon. 8th tackle of the game for Jawan Simpson.
Smith lets it fly. Sanders finds a crease. Good return up to the 53-yard line. 17 for Jock Sanders that time, as the Stampeders are winning the field position battle here in the 3rd quarter.
They are, and Jock Sanders, he was shaking his head when he got up, because I think if he keeps wide on this return,
Looks like it.
yeah, he had an alley. Now he's gonna bob and weave his way up into the line here, and then watch him bounce. Now if he just takes this and continues outside, it looks like some room there to go.
Again, Calgary has not lost back-to-back games since early 2012, a streak of 45 games, and John Corner's not going anywhere this time.
Ten BC Lions on that tackle. There were only 2 guys that weren't involved.
J.R. LaRose back in the secondary. Boy, the consistency of this football team under John Hufnagel is
amazing.
Something to be saluted.
With their injuries and their starting quarterback under the line.
Top receiver, top defensive player. Over the middle, there's Sanders. Little change up here, a different target. Elimimi in the tackle, but Jock Sanders has a Calgary first down in Lion territory.
Really like how Jock Saunders comes back to the ball here. He's gonna come out of the backfield, run this crossing route, and he comes back by about a half a step or so, just to create a little bit of separation on this bang route. Watch how it takes a step back towards the ball and then turns it up.
First down, and boy, it looks like a bust, but they go deep, and Brad Sinopoli was open, and the pass overthrown by Drew Tate.
Yeah, that's 3. That's 3 deep balls by Drew Tate. He knows it. He's just trying to settle himself right now. He had 1 to Joe West, just out of his reach, Maurice Price, and now Brad Sinopoli. I mean, wide open receivers, and he is just overthrowing them by about a yard.
The only silver lining is the arm strength apparently is all right. There's Corner shovel, and he nearly sprung that. Down to the 35, should be enough for a first down.
Tremendous execution here. I mean, this is, first of all, the play call outstanding. I mean, take your star tailback and make him look like you're gonna block with them, and then he just turns around for the little shovel pass when all of those defenders are up the field. Dave Dickinson, brilliant play call right there, get the first down.
Got a block from Craig Head, and now back to Sanders, or Cornish, excuse me, and back into the arms of Elimimi.
There's a tremendous pace to this football game. I mean, they are hitting the holes, and the linebackers filling them quickly, whether it's Jawan Simpson on the other side or Elimimi and Big Hill. He's getting involved too, 44.
A couple of throwback guys, and what really is a throwback game. Run game back in vogue, defense in vogue. 2nd and 6. Team dancing, and he gets buried back behind the line of scrimmage. Jabbar Westerman with first contact on the quarterback.
Had a really good conversation with Mike Benavides about Jabbar Westerman and some of the issues he's had off the field. And he told me that that is behind him, that Jabbar Westerman was taken off the 46, little spin move there, taken off the 46 because of the issues off the field, apologized on his own accord to his teammates, and it's been behind him ever since.
There it is. Long range has another. And it's now a 4-point Calgary lead, 43 yards. Paredes back on target.
Said he's going to be the key to this defense in the interior alongside Eric Taylor, because such a high prospect coming out of college at Eastern Michigan, and everyone touted him as maybe the best defensive player in that draft. And I asked him, you know, how did he go sideways? He just made a mistake. He was a young guy who made a mistake, and he on his own accord, he said, we didn't ask him to do anything with his teammates. We didn't tell him to do it. He just stood up and said, guys, I'm sorry, I'll not be a distraction again. Went back to work. He's been a model citizen since, and he's going to be a player for them, too.
Fake to Harris. Kevin Glenn takes off. Nice deception by Kevin Glenn, and he gets 8. Lions have had 3 possessions here in the third quarter, 2 and out on all 3.
That was great fake. Juwan Simpson here, Ron Mayo, they're both going right here to stop 33. They felt like he had the ball. That's what a play fake can do. Little fundamentals. Wants those 2 linebackers right up to 33. And up around the corner was Glenn.
Looking for their first down, and they'll get it as Logan hits the 45-yard line.
Just though, this Calgary defense playing well when you talk about those injuries up front. Freddie Bishop, Junior Turner.
Was wondering if the defense the injuries were starting to take their toll for Rich Dubler's group. They've allowed 98 points in the previous 3 games. Prior to that, the first 9 of the year, they had allowed fewer than, on average, 15 points a game.
They gave up 1 drive all night so far. That was the first one.
First down, Glenn went through the reads and almost picked off through the hands of Andrew Harris and nearly intercepted by Deron Mayo.
And Andrew Harris wasn't going anywhere anyway. There's Keon Raymond, there's Deron Mayo, and just in front of him is Juwan Simpson. So all 3 linebackers right down in the box, and they're going to close quickly on Andrew Harris. We've seen a linebacker clinic tonight.
2nd and 10. They'll hand it off straight ahead. And they got 8, but then Harris is driven back.
You know, I say that about the linebackers and how well they're playing. Juwan Simpson, Deron Mayo, Solomon Elamimian. And yet, it's the last 8 carries for the running back that's so important. Those are the ones that those guys, we got some trash talking now and a few late flags.
It went a long time. Andre Ramsey was first locked up with Josh Bell, and the talking just continued on, and finally, Tom Valesi's crew will.
Objectionable conduct. BC number 69. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And it was Ramsey, and that was about 10 seconds after the play. His hands were up, pleading innocence, and then something finally happened, and it was all between him and an old BC Lion, Josh Bell.
Andrew Harris over there to talk to Ramsey. So there's Ramsey on the prowl. He didn't like the pull-off from Keon Raymond.
Up, I'm okay. Nothing here. Nothing to see here.
Now Bell was doing some talking.
And after that point, flag was tossed. There's Sanders, and he gets more dangerous with every return. up to the 50-yard line on that one. 21 on his latest punt return. Here in the final minute of what's been a good third quarter for the Stampeders. Although Sanders now, he's had some injury issues, an ankle, rib injury, and may have re-injured the ankle on that last return. .99 punt return yards for Doug Sanders tonight. Flag down. Tate has time. Wide open. Maurice Price gets away. And is out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Let's check the flag.
Was Maurice Price offside?
Coming back. And that will negate a 28-yard play for the Stamps.
Maurice offside. Calgary number 17. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
This is called change motion. Maurice Price is going to try and time it up and then hit it on the snap. And what he does is he gets into the neutral zone just before the snap of the ball. Watch how he just floats upfield. He's about 3 yards offside.
First and 15 on what should be the final play of this third quarter. Tate looks one way and another. Nobody open. And he'll finally take off. A flag flies. A couple actually come down as Tate is dropped after maybe a couple. And we'll get another play here in the third quarter.
So it's going to be an illegal block.
Might be more than one penalty to sort out here. 2 flags. Not sure if they're for the same infraction or not. BC getting the options.
Illegal block, hands to the face. Calgary number 50. 10-yard penalty. It'll be first down, and we'll have one more play in the quarter.
So that's the right tackle, the former Calgary Colt, Spencer Wilson, who is called.
BC is declining the penalty. It'll be second down and the quarter is over.
So the Lions will take the loss of the down, and we're through 45 minutes. John Huffnagel Stamps with the lead. Let's check the numbers through 45 minutes here at McMahon.
I'm looking at those Calgary passing numbers. 147 yards passing. Drew Tate 11 of 18. Should be 14 of 18 with 3 long bombs that he just missed. You're talking about 147 yards, probably close to 300 if he connects on those 3 plays.
John Cordish has 99 yards rushing. Andrew Harris has 68. And it's 9-8 Elamimian against Simpson in the tackle department.
Well, we're seeing a linebacker clinic here tonight. A great linebacker play by Juwan Simpson, Solomon Elamimian. I mean, Adam Bighill's got involved. These guys are playing great football. But now, like we've been saying all game, running backs like to get into the fourth quarter when the defense starts to fatigue a little bit. That's when they can do some damage.
All the points have been scored with the win tonight. BC will have it in the fourth, but they're down by 4. Didn't take the penalty. Took the loss, 2nd and 13. Up from Tate underneath. There's Nick Lewis, another catch. And they really stepped out at the 54, so they'll be short of the first down. And the punt team has to come on for Calgary.
Now we're wondering about that decision by Mike Benavides to not take the penalty on first down and take that extra yardage, try and win that field position battle. This decision pays off because he gets the 2 and out.
Yeah, interesting because in a defensive battle, you think every yard of real estate's valuable, but I guess so too are the downs, and the coach makes the right call. Logan inside the 10, and he'll get buried there. 45-yard punt.
I let that go. You know, when you're standing on the 10-yard line, the ball is right there or behind you as a returner. You let the ball go, the single doesn't matter.
Well, John Beck has come into the game. We're told that Kevin Glenn has an ice bag on his elbow. And so it's John Beck here in the fourth quarter for BC. Veteran out of BYU.
There's the ice pack on the throwing arm.
And starts with a long field. And a run for Andrew Harris. Up across the 15-yard line, a 4-yard pickup. John Beck, 9 of 19 on the year, 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions.
He did play against Calgary's defense in the preseason. Now, obviously different personnel in a preseason game. I can see many of the starters. He was 50% in that game through an interception. Did not throw a touchdown pass. So, John Beck.
Not Kevin Glenn's throwing arm, but reason enough to keep him on the sidelines of a big game here in the fourth quarter. Second down, Beck. And that pass skipped short.
Yeah, John Beck, obviously, he just points to himself, a little nervous, kind of short step, didn't step into it. Didn't just let it go. And one hops it.
And another 2 and out. Fourth consecutive 2 and out. And we'll check back on the last play for Kevin Glenn. And when he went out of bounds,
landed right on the left elbow.
Ricky Schmidt, wind at his back, and he launches this. Sinopoli is back in place of Sanders. 61-yard punt, and Jason Araki will wrestle down the Peterborough, Ontario native at the Calgary 44. Stamps with the lead. They've had good field position in this second half. It's 11-7 Calgary. Glenn out of the game with more on some of the injuries tonight. Let's rejoin Jermaine.
Chris, Brian Burnham, receiver with the BC Lions, is out with a rib injury, and he will not return. And on the Stampeders side, Pierre Levertu, he left the game with an upper body injury, and he also will not return.
Doesn't look like we'll see Kevin Glenn again tonight, but John Cornish straight ahead. Big hole, second level, still loose. Over 100 with authority for John Cornish, ripping off another huge gain. This one 43 yards.
Running backs love the fourth quarter. They love those last few reps when they can take advantage of a defense that's starting to get fatigued. And this is the second time that Solomon Elimimian went on a stunt, and the second time that John Cornish made him pay for it. He went on a stunt in the C gap outside between guard and tackle, vacated the middle, and Cornish ran right down Main Street.
Fourth consecutive 100-yard game for Cornish. Matt Walter into the game, pass over the middle, and a knockdown there by Cord Parks.
Remember that first half stunt by Solomon Elimimian in this matchup between he and Cornish? That was the other one for Cornish. This is Elimimian here. He's not back in the middle where he could scrape to Cornish. Whenever Mark Washington puts him on a pass rush up in the line of scrimmage, Cornish makes him pay for it and went right down the middle.
Cornish has had gains of 40 and 43. A second down throw and incomplete, they're ruling. Joe West trying to sell it. He says it's a catch. See if John Hufnagel agrees with his receiver.
Well, let's take a look. Ronnie Yell took a run at this, tried to cut underneath.
And that's definitely not a catch.
Not a chance.
I could see trying to sell it if you didn't have video replay, but that's why coaches can't always listen to the receivers.
You just can't. That's why you got to listen to the spotters upstairs.
From 30 yards out, Paredes is dialed in again, and it's a 7-point Calgary lead. 11 unanswered second half points. John Beck has to rally BC back. Our sack tallies brought to you by Pure Later, tackling hunger across Canada. Check.
Well, both these teams have a long way to go to catch the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but right now BC's up 3-0, and Alex Bazzi has his 10th on the season. Rookie defensive end for the BC Lions.
Number 2 in sacks and tackles for losses combined, behind only John Chick. Lions will take the kickoff, looking for better field position than the 35. Let's see if they get it with Stephen Logan. And he will get just beyond the 35-yard line. Adam Tebow with the tackle. Let's get another injury update from Jermaine.
Thanks, Chris. I briefly talked to Kevin Glenn on the bench, and he said that he was okay. He had ice on his elbow at the time and told me that he has played with worse. He does not know if he'll be back in the game, and I just noticed that the ice is off of Kevin Glenn's left elbow.
Although it looks a little swollen, even from way back here.
John Beck's show right now. Well, they've had nothing in the second half. All 2 and outs. Check that one first down. Out of the backfield, Lambala. And Jawan Simpson has been all over the field tonight. Middle linebacker out of Alabama has been a headache for Kahari Jones.
Well, that opening drive was a good one. 76 yards and ended in a major. Since then, these Calgary defenses basically shut the door. Led by that guy, Jawan Simpson. Another tackle for him. That'll be double figures already for Jawan Simpson.
Lions won here in August. They trailed by 11 at one point in that game. Rallied in the 4th. Second down. Beck steps up, throws, complete, and it will be a first down. A backpedaling Stephen Adekolu has his first CFL catch. Rookie out of Bishops. He was a big story in training camp. Undrafted.
Yeah, Adekolu, he does a nice job here just backing up for first down territory. He's playing because Brian Burnham is not returned to this game, so getting some playing action. Huge potential, big target.
Just the second first down of the second half, and another short hop from Beck. Just gave it a little sidearm on the completion to Adekolu.
Yeah, he's rushing things a little bit. Again, he's trying to settle his nerves a little bit, it looks like. And this is a guy with some experience, BYU, and a guy that Mike Benavides says holds his teammates accountable in practice, knows the playbook, real cerebral type quarterback, but he's just, mechanics are off. He's not stepping into the throw. He's got to just settle his nerves a little bit and give the ball to his playmakers.
Veteran guy, 33 years of age. 2nd and 10 from the Lion 50. 3-man rush, pocket collapsing, and down goes Beck. Quinn Smith, the rookie out of Concordia, makes the sack. His first in the Canadian Football League.
It's like they're going to go 3-man pressure here. 3-man pressure, you think you should be able to, there's Quinn Smith, and you should be able to get that extra time in the pocket at 3-man pressure, but see Beck steps right up into it.
Last punt from Smith was 61 yards. This one not as deep. Sinople steps up, gets the 5-yard, no yards, a return of at least that length. 40-yard punt. So 8:33 remaining here in the 4th quarter. Drew Tate with the football and the lead.
No yards. BC number 28. That penalty be declined.
So they decline the penalty. It's John Cornish time, 4th quarter. Another huge night for number 9. We'll try and salt this away for the Stamps when we come back. Stampeders trying to take a major step towards first place in the CFL West and home field in the Western Final. Looking for their 11th win and a quarterback draw from Drew Tate. Lunging out to the 39, ball popped loose, but after the whistle.
It is John Cornish time. You mentioned him going to break. 16 carries, 140 yards, and he is in second place. Take a look at the rushing leaders. Brandon Whitaker had a 177-yard lead coming into this game tonight at 140s now. He just 38 to pass Whitaker and take the lead for the rushing title.
Tate, 2nd and 2. And Cornish, geez, he may be short here. And he gets up a little frustrated that it's going to be 3rd and 1.
I got to show you Solomon Elimimian, who's getting a little frustrated when we start talking about 40 yards from John Cornish. Watch what he does here when a lineman comes out and tries to block him. Comes out, tries to block him, and Elimimian goes, "Get off me." That's Brandon Craighead.
That's 300 pounds.
300 pounds. He just threw aside. I want to get to that running back.
Well, it's 3rd and just under a yard. You've got the lead. Looks like the short yardage team comes on. John Hufnagel looking very calm on the sidelines. Almost stuffed Muniz earlier. Pretty good surge there behind the center, Brett Jones, for a first down. Well, the Stampeders rallying from behind on the strength of their running back, and that doesn't surprise the head coach.
John is an excellent running back, and you know, his presence is felt, and he can make plays that he can turn into big plays where maybe other people is just a first down. John can take it to the house that he's demonstrated numerous times.
Always seen 2 40-plus yard drops tonight. Fake to Cornish, Tate on a roll, and he throws incomplete. Not sure if that was to Price or at the next level to Anthony Parker.
Asked Dave Dickinson when John Cornish was out due to injury. In fact, against the BC Lions, it was Martel Mallet, the former Lion, playing against the Lions for Calgary, and asked Dickinson about how he changes the offense. Is, first of all, let me explain something. We can't replace John Cornish. He's just that special of a football player and does so much for our offense. Can't replace him.
2nd and 10, 5 receivers out. Pump from Tate looking down the sidelines. That one heaved incomplete with nobody really close. It'll be 3rd and 10. The punt team comes on. And that includes the long snapper, Tim St. Pierre, who celebrates his 100th Canadian Football League game tonight. Guy that's done most of it in the trenches, on the teams.
Out of St. Mary's, you know, a guy you don't talk about a lot, but has to be precise with those snaps, get down the field, and he often dictates the return, the cover team, because if he can get down there and force the returner to go one direction or other, gives them an advantage.
Hamilton native and Hamilton tough. Logan gets away, and Stephen Logan. Pretty good return to enhance the field position for Kevin Glenn coming back. That left arm looks like it's hanging a little bit. But coming back to try and salvage the night for the BC Lions.
76 yards, not all passing yards in that first drive.
Boy, Juwan Simpson and company have had the answer, haven't they? Handed off, Harris like he had a hole, but Juwan Simpson fills
There it
it.
is again, yeah. Duron Mayo there with him.
And Juwan Simpson into double figures. This is tackle number 10.
Javon Olafiore slides out there. Duron Mayo steps up.
And Andrew Harris is still down. So another injury concern for BC. Take another look at what happened to Andrew.
Just a couple of games with an ankle injury, and I wonder if he maybe aggravated that same injury. See the left leg gets rolled on there. Now they're looking at the right side. Oh, excuse me. No, they all got their left leg.
Logan there alongside, and it'll be Logan's final 5 minutes. But the other outstanding Canadian running back in the CFL started the night 5th in the league in rushing, one of the top receivers as well. Led the league in yards after catch, and they're going to have to carry him off, and that really is a rough sight. Devastating blow for the Lions, to be sure.
Well, with 5 minutes to go, Stephon Logan goes in, takes the tailback spot. Well, you got to believe now that Kevin Glenn's got to start to think about putting the ball up in the air, and that's when Manny Arsenault, who's been very quiet tonight.
Don't know if they've thrown the football at Arsenault in the second half. He had 3 catches early, 39 yards. But none here in what's been a very quiet BC second half. Sharp on the conversions early. Need one now. And they get the ball to Rolly Labala. And the Calgary native across midfield has a clutch first down for the Lions.
Two-back backfield. Stephon Logan to the right of Glenn, and Rolly Labala just to the front of your screen here. You're just going to push the flat. Glenn puts it on him, turns up, gets that forward momentum, that weight going forward and rolling. 9-yard gain and moves the chains.
7th catch of the year for Lambala, the straight arm on Duron Mayo. First down, Kevin Glenn in trouble and dropped. Junior Turner. Second sack of the game for BC. A couple of young Canadians chalking up sacks. First Smith out of Concordia, now Turner out of Bishops.
Looked to me like Kevin Glenn wanted Emmanuel Arsenault over the middle, and when he wasn't open because he was covered by Keon Raymond and jammed up pretty good, that pass rush gets to him by Junior Turner. There's Emmanuel Arsenault right here. Keon Raymond, I told you, opportunistic. He jams him up, doesn't give him the crossing route, and Glenn doesn't have a target.
2nd and 19. Glenn steps up, Lemon in pursuit. And Kevin Glenn is dropped near midfield. And he has to be helped up after he gets 6. The punt team will come on with just over 3 minutes left.
He admires courage, but he's got to get down. I mean, banged up, bad left elbow. Remember, Travis Lulay not available.
And that injury-depleted defensive line of Calgary is winning a battle against the Lions' offensive line. Big boot, and Sinopoli fields it in the end zone. He'll bring it out. And a decent return, 58-yard punt. And that's where Drew Tate will start. 7-point lead at the 3-minute warning in Calgary. 4:30 Pacific on TSN 5. I think there'll be plenty of defense on TSN 30 this week. Lions scored at 5:03 of the first quarter. No points in over 52 minutes. Drew Tate like to chew up a little more of the clock as John Cornish off the left side, short gain, and sets up a pivotal second down play here.
It really is big, and you almost get the feeling with the way this Calgary defense is playing, the Lions may have to score on defense.
We should mention you didn't mind Brad Sinopoli taking it out of the end zone.
No, you know what, a 7-point game, he caught it right on the goal line and got pretty good positive yards. I think that was a pretty good decision there.
Stamps are 6 for 18 in second down conversions tonight. Here's a big one. Shovel inside. And it's Nick Lewis, who's going to be short. Stopped at the 25, needed the 27. And let's see, are they going to give him just beyond the 25? It's still going to be 1.5 yards when the punt team comes on.
That's how good this guy is. This is newcomer Alex Bazzi. Well, he's not new anymore to the league, but rookie season. Bazzi was the backside defensive end, slides all the way across to make the tackle on Nick Lewis and hold him short of a first down. The Lions defense gets the 2 and out and will get the ball back.
So Rob Maber to punt the ball away. Logan and Iannuzzi are back. Not a deep kick. And Logan up on it at the 47. And he'll get to the 50. So 60 yards away from where they need to be, Kevin Glenn leads BC's offense out with 1:42 on the clock.
Well, let's see what they do with Emmanuel Arsenault. And I'm not just talking about what BC tries to do to get in the football, but what Calgary's been doing coverage-wise, because they're going to have to push the ball. Juwan Simpson has shut the door on the running game, whether it be Stephon Logan or Andrew Harris. Kevin Glenn's got to push the ball to 84. Can he get it to him?
Short drop, going through the reads, nobody open. Gonna try Logan and overthrows him, but tight coverage anyway. Brandon Smith in his hip pocket. Boy, he went through with third option. Nobody was open.
Yeah, first option was the guy we're talking about, Emmanuel Arsenault. They tried to sit him down over the middle, thinking that Juwan Simpson might step up, but Simpson sits right on Arsenault. Well covered by 2 Calgary Stampeders. Can't get him the football.
Second and 10. 3-down football for the Lions now, and this play doesn't get off.
Emmanuel Arsenault on those last 2 plays, that one doesn't go off in time, but both plays, he's been the 3rd receiver to the field.
Timeout, BC.
So the Lions just got the timeout. Had it been a time count violation, which it appeared to be on the field, it would have been a loss of down.
So they put him, that 3rd receiver, to the wide side of the field or to the right if you're in the
Timer,
middle.
can you please put 1:35 on the game clock?
Keon Raymond, that's his man. So he'll line up on him. Now, if he's going to play zone defense, Raymond will jam Arsenault and then pass him off to the next zone. But if it's man-to-man, it's going to be Keon Raymond on Emmanuel Arsenault.
So they reset for 2nd and 10. 5 receivers out. Glenn on the move to Sean Gore, and Gore has a first down to the Calgary 45.
This is Glenn buying time. Again, he wants Arsenault is weaving through the zone. They're trying to get him the football, but they just can't. The other side, Sean Gore He comes in like he's going to block. He releases, and Glenn buys some time, so he just tries to find open space.
Just Gore's second catch of the game. 20 yards for Gore. And Kevin Glenn looks for Arsenault, and it's intercepted. Keon Raymond. Arsenault slipped, and Keon Raymond is on the move. Had a touchdown earlier this year against BC. A big interception by Keon Raymond with 1:08 on the clock.
There's the matchup. And 3 plays in a row. Glenn wanted to get it to number 84. And this time, Arsenault slips. Now, Kevin Glenn is trying to talk to the officials and talk them into a possible illegal contact or pass interference. But that third receiver to the right side, one-on-one on Keon Raymond. And all Raymond does is play the ball. I mean, when it matters most, Keon Raymond will make a play.
So the Stamps take over at the BC 40. John Cornish time. Trying to bounce it outside and back into the heavy traffic. Led by Adam Bighill, Jamal Johnson.
Kevin Glenn was also talking to the officials about a hit from Durham Mayo that he thought after that play in the interception, he wanted that hit and say, well, you know, that was unnecessary. And now that you want to be a referee in the league, you got to stand behind a couple of guys. Tom Valesi's going, all right, gentlemen, play's over. I don't know if he said gentlemen, but he said, let's go, guys, back to the bench.
Stampeders going to win their 7th and 8. Straight ahead, Cornish runs for another first down. And he still might be the rushing leader of the Canadian Football League before this night is done. Up to 156 on the night.
Well, you know, and 156, Solomon Almimian's at double figures are right near it in tackles. But you got to give it to Cornish. You got to give this showdown to Cornish. And in fairness to 56, I mean, there's been the 2 biggest runs from Cornish. The Lions, by design, took Elamimian out of the middle and ran him on a stunt. But this round goes to John Cornish.
Victory formation now. Cornish won't add to his total, but he's done enough damage again tonight.
And 4 of the last 5 games that he has played over 100 yards. And he is right on the doorstep to take the lead.
Pretty impressive effort by the Stamps tonight as they don't lose 2 in a row under John Hufnagel very often. And not here tonight. They give up an opening series touchdown to Kevin Glenn, but come back with 14 unanswered. What a defensive effort led by that man, Jawan Simpson. Another step towards nailing down first place in the West. Stampeders are 11-2, and the Lions fall to 7-6. 14-7 the final here at McMahon. So long, everybody. SportsCenter is next.